Hello and welcome to the Craft Witch Corner, where I app and craft. My name is Dex and my pronouns are he, they. Today is May 1st, so we are now on to a new month with a new rune, and this month's rune is Ansuz. I am super excited for this one. Let's talk about my week with Ansuz and my 6-month rune journey. Most of what I wrote about in my week with Ansuz was practical things that I actually wanted to do with the rune. The first thing that I wrote about was how I would like to work with Uruz and Ansuz in a bind rune for healing of the lungs, throat, mouth, any kind of breathing problems. As a practitioner, I am not and have never really been super into the elements. I tried to be because it was a super popular thing, but it's not really for me. I think it's an interesting idea. I just don't necessarily connect with the elements that much. The physical things, like physical dirt, physical wind, physical fire, and physical water, yes. But the more like metaphysical idea of the energies of the elements, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. At the time that I was doing my week with Ansuz, I was still kind of trying to work with elements in some way, and at the very least thinking about elements in my practice. I related the 4 elements to 4 of the runes that I think just make sense for me. Obviously, Ansuz being air, Turisaz being fire, Lagus being water, and Berkana being earth. I was just thinking about how I could incorporate those things together and kind of mesh them into something that would work for me. I do think it would be interesting to experiment with the runes for elements. And of course I work with the 4 cardinal spirits that relate to different elements. That is a way of working with the elements that makes sense to me. So maybe working with the different corresponding runes for the elements would make more sense to me. Maybe I will try this. Maybe I should experiment with this. Not this month though. I've got shit to do. I'm busy. Working with Ansuz to help me focus my mind and keep control of my visualizations. I also, since the time of this week with Ansuz, have been breathing life into the things that I'm doing in my spellcraft. I also specifically wrote about wanting to make an awakened spirit ritual with Ansuz that I could do for oils, for herbs, for rocks, for any item that would be a part of any spell or just that I want to work with, to really awaken its spirit. Of the runes so far in the 6-month rune journey, Ansuz was definitely the rune I felt most comfortable with and most at ease with, and it just felt very normal. The energy, like the energy of Turisaz is like very intense and heavy, and it's like I could feel it. But with Ansuz, it just kind of felt normal to me. It just felt like everyday life. I think the reason why I felt and feel so at ease and so comfortable with the energy of Ansuz is because that energy is something I embody regularly. I am very focused on learning and reading and writing, and I have made poetry for most of my life. I have written music for most of my life. Words have been very important to me my whole life, and it is something that I put a lot into, mundane and magical. So this is just an energy I really get along well with. I specifically want to work with Ansuz on my communication and my ability to be concise and not ramble on or get off track. I feel like maybe I've gotten better about this as I've been on ADHD meds. It has helped my brain stay on track a lot more, but hopefully with time, working with Ansuz, that will get even better. I also wrote about how I want to paint Ansuz onto my tripod as a way to help me kind of bring that energy in while I'm working on videos to keep me on track. I would also specifically like to make a bind rune with Fehu and Ansuz for creative inspiration when it comes to poetry and writing. And I realized during this week with Ansuz, I am most drawn to working with 2 runes together rather than 1 rune or more. It just makes sense to me. It's intuitively what I kind of lean towards. I also wrote about wanting to make a poppet for self-deification and stitching Ansuz into that. I don't necessarily think that Ansuz is super cleansing, but I think related to, like, if me and my fiance got into an argument, Ansuz could help with that. I don't think I would use it for general cleansing. I already have something I use for more general cleansing. I think it would work well to just kind of reset the energy of the communication so that we can have better communication moving forward. I wrote about wanting to work with rosemary alongside Ansuz. A lot of what they are about aligns. I associate rosemary with crows and with air and fire. Rosemary for me is very much wanting to work with me on the mind, learning, communication, that sort of thing. So it just makes sense to be alongside Ansuz. We'll see if these two spirits actually want to work together. I wrote a bit about my hang-ups in working with Odin. Obviously, Ansuz is the rune of Odin. I talked about it in my last rune vlog with Thurisaz. I have a hard time with the idea of working with Thor, Odin, or Tyr because of what fucking Nazis have done in appropriating their images and their messages for their disgusting causes. But Thurisaz really called me out on that and was like, that's not fair to them. You work with your own interpretation of Loki and Freya, and you're not giving Thor and Odin and Tyr that same level of respect. And like, that's kind of putting you at a disadvantage, basically. Like, this is bad for you to not be willing to try this out. In this week with Ansuz, I was still in that hesitation and desire to just kind of keep myself far removed from Odin. Now, I still don't think it's the right time for me to properly begin any kind of working with Odin, but I do feel more open to it, and especially as I walk down my Sada path, I do feel certain that at some point something will come of that, and now I feel okay with that and comfortable with that idea in the future. I just don't think right now I have the space or time to bring in another spirit to work with. The last few things that I wrote about are drawing Ansuz on my throat with hopefully a clear communication oil, which I'm going to make this month, to help me have clear communication, and I would be doing that before writing scripts, before filming, before any kind of situation where it is going to be communication heavy and I need to be having like clear communication. Like, this isn't something that I would do when I'm like going to hang out with a friend and we yap a lot, because I can yap and go on rabbit holes and it doesn't matter because it's friendly talk, rather than a more formal situation where I need to be getting a point across. And then wanting to work with Ansuz and Othla together for ancestor communication. The very last thing was working with Ansuz for absorbing what I'm learning and actually being able to apply it to my life. So that is the end of my summary of my week with Ansuz in my 6-month rune journey. And now let's talk about the attunement. So as always, I'm not going to share much about it, but it was 15 minutes long, and I did my regular tuning in plus the Psychic Dimmer exercise from Psychic Witch. The few things that I will talk about is that I saw Odin hanging from Yggdrasil, and I saw Ymir's Well, and there was some crow imagery. So that's all I'm going to share about what happened in the attunement, but I feel like this made sense to me. It followed kind of the track of what I expected, which is interesting because so far with the other 3 runes I've worked with, I feel like what I've seen didn't follow what I expected and didn't, like, it was completely different and like, just what the fuck. But I didn't find myself surprised by any of this, and I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that I just in general embody the energy of Ansuz naturally a bit more than the energy of the other runes, so I didn't have an expectation that was out of line with this energy. I don't know, or maybe it's just some random thing, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was very interesting, and I really look forward to this month with Ansuz. I can't wait to see what happens, what unfolds. I hope that you enjoy coming along on this journey with me. See you next time. I visualized Yggdrasil and Mimir's Well and crows around me cawing, and that is the visualization that I chose to help me communicate with Ansuz. I said the same thing I've said in all of the meditations. I summon the rune Ansuz and humbly ask for your guidance and wisdom. I asked Ansuz how he wants to work with me and also what he wants in offering. I was looking into Mimir's Well and then I fell into it kind of Alice down the rabbit hole style and heard this kind of like echoing voice saying, "Know thyself." I saw a lot of books and a lot of imagery surrounding reading and spending a lot of time reading and the sacrifice that is required to gain knowledge. An offering from me, at least, Ansuz wants dedicated time reading and blood, and is also fine with whiskey. Then we got to the not scary part, but I guess I would say much more intense part that was very shadow worky. I don't know. There was this door and Ansuz was basically like, "Are you sure? Like, do you want to open this door? You don't have to, it's just there. But if you do, like, nothing will remain the same." I asked a few questions about what this was relating to, what this meant, and it was related to know thyself. So this was essentially like opening the door to that shadowy aspect of my mind that I have a hard time engaging with or letting into the light. I did open it. I saw some crazy shit happened. I got like sucked into the darkness and I kind of stayed for a little bit and was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna come back here at another time because I have other shit to do today. So I got myself back to the door and locked it with a key and then put that key like on a chain around my neck. I told Ansuz that I would be coming back in the future, but right now I've got other stuff to do, so I can't really get into all this. So that was that meditation. For the next meditation, the questions I asked were, do you have any messages for me at this time? And what would you like in your dedicated powder? And the first thing I saw was a crow kind of facing me dead on and like cawing in my face, and it was trapped in a house, so I let the crow out, and mid-flight it transformed into a much larger and more colorful, super majestic bird and flew away. Then I saw the moon waxing and waning on repeat, just the lunar cycle again and again. And then I again asked, like, what would you like in your powder? And he was pretty much like, not gonna tell you yet. I don't want to tell you, so you don't get to know yet. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Hopefully I figure that out before next Wednesday when I need to make that powder, but it'll be fine. And the last thing I saw was a pear, and then the pear cut in half, and like really a lot of emphasis and focus on the seeds. That was the meditation. Hello, today is June 24th. It's hot as fuck, so I'm gonna try and keep this as lickety-split as I possibly fucking can. I am going to talk about my final meditation with Ansuz, which I did on the 21st. There is a whole beginning part of the meditation that I am not going to talk about because I had initially done it thinking that Ansuz would be kind of guiding me through the whole thing, but I did the majority of that all by myself and basically just was sent off by Ansuz, and then when I came back, Ansuz greeted me again. So the whole meditation was 25 minutes, but I have no clue how long the parts that are actually relevant took, obviously, because I was in the meditation the whole time. I will briefly say this about the beginning part of the meditation. I was coming back to the door to my inner psyche to know thyself, and I asked Ansuz if he would accompany me and kind of guide me through that, and he was like, you gotta do this on your own, so I'll see you when you get back. It was an absolutely insane experience. I literally fought the Christian God And I'm going to give no more context for that, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I definitely confronted a lot of things that have been with me for a very long time, and it was pretty fucking life-changing. But I came back from that, and I asked Ansuz what he wants in his powder, and that is mugwort, mushrooms, rosemary, dragon's blood resin. That's it. Then I asked if Ansuz had anything else to show me, as this would be our last meditation together. And he showed me a symbol. I'm not going to share it because I want to keep it somewhat private until I figure out more about it, and even then I might just continue to keep it private. I spent a while after the meditation kind of sitting with it and figuring out what it meant. I asked in a Discord that I'm a part of if like anybody had seen this anywhere, if this meant anything to anyone, any insights that anyone could give me. And so we had a little bit of a convo about that on there, but otherwise I just kind of decoded different aspects of it and figured out what it means to me. I am definitely going to remain open to future changes in opinions on what it means as Ansuz continues to be a part of my life and practice. That is all I'm going to talk about from that. So I just wanted to pop in and say, unfortunately, because of some life stuff, I am going to be away for 2 weeks in July, so I am not going to do the Rune Journey in July. I'm just going to skip the month and come back August with the next rune. I have to admit, I'm kind of pretty grateful that I'm gonna get this break, because I am definitely getting to a point of like burnout and just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. So I am kind of glad that this break was thrust on me rather than me having to choose it. I don't know that I would have, so I think this is definitely for the better. I do think going forward I may choose to take more breaks as I go through the runes, just to keep myself from losing my fucking mind and giving it all up. It is kind of a lot, and has been kind of a lot. I have enjoyed it, but I need breaks every once in a while, so that's all. That's this video.